Welcome back, and what a delight. Looking forward to this, and she is terrific. Her name is Megan Barth. She's the founder and proprietor of a very exciting website called ReaganBaby.com, and we want to talk about last night's debate held right there at President Ronald Reagan's library there in Simi, California. What an incredible setting last night. The setting was absolutely beautiful. The moderating, I don't know, D-. Hi, Megan, how are you?
All right, thanks so much. What a great introduction. Thanks for having me back.
Well, what'd you think?
Well, it was long.
Yeah, yeah.
I think about an hour too long.
Yeah.
They definitely stretched the advertising dollars.
Yeah.
And it just started out the debate like I expected. It was the Trump show, and it was trying to pit the other candidates against Trump, putting them on the offense. I think every question, at least the first 10, it seemed like, respond to Trump's comment about this. Trump said this. How was your reaction? And it just went on and on. And I was really pining as much as, 1 in 7 households. That's the latest Nielsen reading. I'm sure that the rest of the country was pining to get down to the issues. So I have to give a hat tip to Chris Christie for doing that. And when he basically put the kibosh on all the infighting, and he said, Donald, you're successful, great. We've heard about, about Carly's challenges at HP. But the American people are watching, the middle class. We need to talk about the country right now, basically, is what he said. And thank God he did that, because then we really got on to the issues like the Iran deal.
Well, it was interesting. It didn't slow the moderator down. Every question, all three of them, every question was pitting one against the other. Sooner or later, I think that they were beginning to realize what that sequence was about, and they just kind of ignored it. But do you think anybody stood out?
I do. I think a few people stood out. I was asked earlier on a radio program this morning who I really thought won the debate, and I didn't really see a clear winner. One, because it was so long that the candidates really only had an average of maybe, if you collectively look at the averages, 12 minutes apiece to really state their case in 3 hours. So it was really hard for me to pick a true winner, but I thought the most shining moments came from Carly Fiorina. I thought that her explanation of foreign policy and, her experience, with the CIA that many people probably did not know, but her experience with foreign policy shown through her commentary about the Iran deal and rebuilding our military and what she would do on day one with the presidency. I thought that was a very strong argument. However, I think even a better argument she made, which I found chilling, was her defense of the government shutdown if needed in order to defund Planned Parenthood. Her defense of the unborn and how she crafted that answer as far as challenging Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton to watch the full videos and to defend somehow the murder of a fetus in order to harm it, but yet keep it alive long enough in order to harvest its brain. I was paying very close attention to that and how she nearly choked up, I believe, at least, and I did too, because her compassion and her conviction over the defense of life really stood out to me.
Well, I think that she really separated herself and showed that she earned and deserved to be there last night. Yes, her response to the Planned Parenthood videos was absolutely unbelievably passionate. I thought also her response to the marijuana issue and taking it personally home to her and her husband losing a son over that, there's no question in my mind she really stood out. What'd you think of Rubio? I thought he slipped in there and got some good lines in last night.
He did. They were all vying and fighting for attention, and it was kind of a free-for-all at a point. I thought that the moderating and the control of the debate was a little bit too loose. Too many people trying to talk over one another at various times. And then you had the barbs going back and forth between Bush and Trump. But Rubio did make some really sound points when it comes to foreign policy and job creation. And his defense of the Spanish language was great, as far as he wants to be heard speaking Spanish instead of having a pundit translate it for him through Univision. I thought that was very smart of him to do as well. But yeah, Rubio took the opportunity when he had the opportunity to shine. I thought Rand Paul made some very succinct points, although I thought Donald Trump, took the first jab at Paul. But he had a point. Trump had a point. There are so many people on that stage. It's going to whittle down. I believe that perhaps the next debate we won't see the bottom four, and we'll have a tighter group of people that will be able to expound on their positions and really reach the American people in a much longer length of time.
Yeah, I think you're got to see a thinning out. They can't afford to stay in it, and so probably the earlier debate crew will probably fall out, and then some of these last night on the main debate will fall out. All right, what do you think of Donald?
I did, he didn't shine. He didn't really stand out. On illegal immigration, he does generate arousing support, but he didn't really say anything new. He keeps telling us that he's going to come out with a plan very soon, as most of the candidates already have come out with certain plans, tax plans, etc. So he didn't really overall impress me. I didn't like the fact, Donald, here would be my, advice to Donald if we could look back. He challenged CNN in an open letter that he released to the press that said, you're charging now $200,000 for a minute of advertising compared to $5,000. I challenge you to give that delta, that profit, to a veterans group. And I will send you a list of veterans groups. If he would have opened the debate with that, I think he would have gotten the first standing ovation if he had said to Jake Tapper and CNN, so which veterans group are you going to donate your profits to? And really kind of turned the tables back on CNN. And I think it would have really rallied the crowd early. He didn't take that opportunity to do that. When Carly's face was mentioned, her response was fantastic, especially when she played off the Jeb Bush, Donald Trump argument, when she said, well, Donald, you said everyone heard what Jeb Bush said about women's health. Well, I can tell you every woman heard what you said about my face. That was a brilliant comeback. And she really kind of took it to the Donald, but didn't break, Reagan's 11th commandment in order to do so. His response to that, however, he could learn a few things in humility, is, you don't mention her face again.
Yeah.
Don't talk about how beautiful she is.
What's interesting, it appears last night, as a result of the total 3 hours, that the Republican establishment now has to be worried, because everybody up on that stage, maybe with the exception of Jeb Bush, and he's a nice person, don't get me wrong, but he was certainly representing the establishment. People don't want that. They want this other stuff that's going on. So we may be seeing a real shakedown in the Republican Party because the establishment that they're trying to put forward is not resonating at all. I kind of wish we had a Newt Gingrich there just for a moment to set the moderator straight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do too. And that's why I kind of wish Trump would have opened, and he's, obviously the leading contender with his numbers. The GOP should be worried, and they should have been worried much earlier than last night's debate, when you see Donald Trump and the outsiders continue to rise in the polls and gain momentum. In my political life, and I think in political history that I'm aware of, at least recent political history, who fills a stadium with 30,000, what political candidate fills a stadium with 30,000 people in Alabama? What political candidate fills a stadium with 21,000 people in Alabama, or excuse me, in Dallas? The amount of energy that Trump has brought to the political campaign cannot be ignored. And it tells us, and it should be telling the GOP, that Americans are paying attention. And they are paying attention to the outsiders because they have been betrayed. They have been betrayed by the Beltway. They have been betrayed by the GOP. When the GOP promises one thing and then does another when they get into the halls of Congress, that type of backstabbing is not going to fall on deaf ears.
All right.
So the challenge remains to the GOP of what they're going to do and who they're going to nom. But yet, this is a race. It's a very long race.
Well said. Couple quick questions. Do you think that Trump missed an opportunity in not apologizing to Jeb's wife?
I thought when Jeb asked for the apology, I thought it was a little bit weak. I don't see Trump, and I've said this before, and I don't know if I've said it with you, Perry, but I've said it multiple times before. The first time Trump apologizes, he loses.
Okay.
He'll come, it'll show some weakness, but I didn't necessarily expect an apology to Jeb Bush's wife. I thought that was a little weak attempt.
Okay.
If anything, I would have expected maybe an apology for him commenting on Carly's face because he may or may have not been taken out of context. That's maybe where I would have expected the apology to come in.
Ben Carson continues to do very well in the polls. What did you think of his performance last night?
How can you not like Ben Carson?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what a wise man, what a caring man. He's a diagnostician. He's done so much for kids and education through the schooling. I would have liked to learn a little bit more about Ben Carson on what he's done for education. That's one topic that really hasn't been brought up that I'm really waiting to hear. We have such a calamity in our education system, a top-down approach that we've had for decades that is simply not churning out the competitive intelligence that we need in this country in order to compete globally and secure our future. So I would have liked to hear a little bit more on education, specifically from him, but he didn't really give us any surprises. He was what I would consider the calm doctor and the diagnostician that we've come to grown and respect and admire. But he didn't really have any true shining moments. I'm glad that he stayed above the fray. But also, you kind of want a little bit of an edge. You want a little bit of a fighter. Yeah.
Well, I think he played it safe, and that probably works to his benefit. All right, let me just say to our viewers and listeners, Megan has ReaganBaby.com, the website, and a tremendous resource. So you may want to check that out, ReaganBaby.com. Let me go over to the left side just for a moment. Apparently, early October, there at the same facility and venue will be the first Democratic debate. We don't know if Biden's going to get in. This morning, it's been announced that Governor Brown's looking at it.
God help us. The reason I left California.
Yeah.
And many people, I think it's 30,000 a month, are fleeing California. Businesses are fleeing California. If you think that there is an Obama malaise, which there is, the disability numbers, the entitlement payouts have skyrocketed. 59 million women are out of the workforce. 93 million people are out of the workforce. Look at California if you want to see malaise. Jerry Brown would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare.
But if he got in, I mean, it seems like the Democrats have bigger problems than the Republicans do.
You're exactly right, Perry. When I look at the candidates on the GOP side, there are now, I believe, 15. Not every one of those candidates, I think, would be ideal, but we have some good choices. We have a lot of good choices. What do the Democrats have right now? They have an old socialist, another old socialist who is under criminal investigation. And I actually said, Perry, I actually said that on TV the other day, that Hillary Clinton was under criminal investigation. And the host of the TV show and the Democrat that I was debating told me I was wrong. Well, Federal Bureau of Investigation is involved in looking at Hillary's server, etc. So I don't know what else to call that. But you have two old socialists, one who's a known liar, and a couple other guys on the dais. They don't have any choices. So we are at a very strong advantage right now when it comes to GOP selection. Biden may or may not enter the race. I guess it depends on what Bo was telling him from the heavens. Mm-hmm. His selection of VP will be very important. I've heard two rumblings I've heard Elizabeth Warren, and I've heard Michael Bloomberg, if you can believe that. I think the Democrats are in a whole world of hurt, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Who they put forward remains to be seen, because right now they simply do not have a winning ticket, and they cannot endorse a socialist. Otherwise, they'll have to adopt the entire platform of socialism, which, quite frankly, they already have.
Yeah, I have to say it's there. They just haven't identified it. Megan, right. You're a delight. Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch as this thing continues to go down the road. I love your perspective. And let me just say to our viewers and listeners, check out Megan's website, reaganbaby.com. It's a tremendous resource. Thank you for giving us your time. You're a delight. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Please do. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, God bless you. See you later. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.